Alrighty guys, well, welcome. I hope this is working. This morning has been a complete nightmare. And it's going to continue being a nightmare. But I hope that I can maintain a stream good enough for you to enjoy. So today I wanted to basically play around with the ZMorph and also take some questions and also take your questions about the ZMorph and that sort of thing. And really, the ZMorph is a really unusual 3D printer. It's a multi-tool 3D printer, so it's not just a 3D printer, it's actually a machine that can do many other things. It's like a little miniature all-in-one CNC workshop, I suppose. And we've got Lady Muse in the chat. Is your mic working as well?
Let me check. Is it working?
I
Can you hear me?
Oh, double audio. Seriously? It should not be double audio. Let me know if the double audio continues. It absolutely should not be. So I wanted to talk about the ZMorph, show you how it works, and answer any questions. So yeah, the ZMorph is made in Poland, and it's a really unusual machine in that it has multiple tool heads. So you can use the ZMorph with a single extruder, which it currently has set up now. You can use it with a dual extruder, which is very cool. I might try fitting that in today's stream. Or we can use it with a multiple range of other tool heads. So let me show you. All right. So just to give you an idea, this is the box the ZMorph comes in. Yeah, it's massive. So here's some of the tool heads. So this is the CNC head for the ZMorph. And all of these are interchangeable, so you can go through their software, which I'll demonstrate later, and pretty much choose which tool head you want to use, and then you can use the machine for different purposes. So this is the CNC head for the ZMorph. How big's that? It's it's huge. It is not a small spindle. This thing is heavy. It's got a little sort of O-flute cutting bit at the bottom there. But yeah, you can actually do CNC machining, CNC milling on soft materials. You're not really going to do metals, but you can do plastics and woods on this machine as well as 3D printing. How much does it cost? Quite a lot. It depends if you go with the full featured kit with all the extended tool heads, or if you go with the single and dual extruder. This machine was sent to me by Dion at the 3D printer, who is the reseller of these in Australia. So he's in the chat now, so he can answer those questions about cost and that sort of thing. Anyway, that's the CNC head. Then we've got this one. So this is a laser module. So this is a laser engraving and sort of cutting head. I mean, it's not going to be as good as a proper laser cutter, but you can do engraving with it. So I'll show you this one.
Hey, I'm just checking if the mic is working now, so yeah, just let me know, peeps, if you can hear me.
It's popping up on my screen, so it should be. Let us know if you can hear Lady Muse. All right, so this is the CNC. Sorry, this is the laser head. That's pretty cool. So what we've got there is we've got the power supply and the actual laser itself. Yeah, don't do this when it's on. So that's the laser diode itself. Big fat heatsink, cooling fan, and yeah, pretty cool. So it does come with glasses. Of course, anything that's laser, you need safety glasses with the right wavelength protection. So it does have those if you want to use laser head. I'm not going to use that today because I don't think we're going to have time, but we'll do 3D printing and then we'll go from there. You are audible, apparently, which is good.
Woohoo!
We set up a second headset. And just before I continue through the ZMorph, a bit of backstory. So I did a Patreon stream last week, but we are moving studios. It is completely confirmed. We are moving down to Wollongong, and the construction here is just getting worse. you'll probably hear throughout the stream banging and crashing. Delivery trucks keep getting their alarms set off outside. So yeah, we are relocating, so you can look forward to that sort of thing in future. But for now, we have to cope with this space. The internet's fast at least, but the environment isn't that great. So going back to the tool heads, this is my favorite. So I showed this in a stream a while ago. This is the Dual Pro extruder head for the ZMorph. And don't forget, these are all interchangeable with the machine. So this is my favorite. So it's a dual extruder, and it has planetary gearboxes to make it, I guess, like a tighter package. So it's got the NEMA, they look like NEMA 14s, extended versions, and then the gearboxes, and then it goes into a single, it goes into a single nozzle, so it goes down like that. So I haven't tried this one yet, but the ZMorph software has a function which lets you import a bitmap and then convert that, like stamp it to a model and then do dual color off that, so you can do a dual color photo or something like that. I haven't tried it, but it looks absolutely insane, and this is what this is designed for. So it's such a cool piece of kit. I mean, you've got CNC machined aluminium, fan, cooling fan. It's super heavy build. It's there's not much plastic in this machine at all.
Cole's noting it looks rather steampunky design.
Oh yeah, the machine's very unique. They've got vacuum formed plastic panels, which I believe are polycarbonate, and they've got, you know, formed aluminium shrouds, 3D printed parts in some areas. The whole machine opens up, so you can pretty much just open the doors like that, and it's pretty cool. So they're the tool heads, and there's I think there's one more that I have missed, which is the paste extruder. So this is the paste extruder, and I mean, it's a pretty limited use case. I will be honest, I wouldn't use food in this machine because it's not, once you do other things, it's not food safe. But the paste extruder is essentially a massive syringe. Let's try and pull it out. Don't want to drop it. So that's the paste extruder, and I think it's actually primarily designed for ceramics. So you can put a ceramic slurry in that syringe, and then you put the extruder head on top, not like that. Force it in. And I think then you clamp it in there or something, and then the stepper motor drives the lead screw down, and yeah, you can print with slurries, ceramics and stuff. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, what I've got the machine set up with at the moment is the bog standard single extruder, which is 1.75mm filament. So I'm going to power it on and start warming it up. Yes, I can give you a quick 360. Ideally, I wanted the camera at the front, but the cable's too short, so let me just spin it around for you. Alright. So, much stuff on the table. I don't know if you can see it there. So that's the LCD, which is a sort of button interface and also a touchscreen, actually mainly touchscreen. And yeah, it's pretty symmetrical on both sides, and it's extremely overbuilt. As you can see, it's got a lot of heavy mechanical components, linear rails. My one criticism is that they've had to go with quite coarse timing belts, because if you're using it for CNC, you can't run the GT2 that most 3D printers use. So I don't know if that loses any accuracy, maybe, but they've had to go with it for torque reasons. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to power it up and see if I can withdraw filament, because you're not really meant to put filament through the top. I was just doing that for testing, and I'll see if I can get it printing.
Lol, Shivel said you could fit a child in there, a small child. Not really recommended. Okay, well, how about we ask some questions? Okay, so which one? Okay, I'll just pick a random one. Okay, so let's see. 3D printed Aspie asked earlier, could you print something and then laser cut parts out of it?
Not really. So you could laser engrave a 3D print, but this machine's laser is not powerful enough to cut things, and also you're not going to be very successful laser cutting anything that's 3D printed because the plastic will just melt into a horrible pile of goop. So yeah, you're more likely to either CNC machine something you've printed or laser engrave like a logo or something on it. That's what I'd say. I might spin it back around for myself, sorry. I might take the covers off actually, because I'm only printing at PLA, and you don't need the covers for that. I mean, it's only mostly to keep the dust in if you're doing CNC or keep the heat in if you're doing ABS. So they just pop off with magnets.
Oh.
Sorry. Rest in peace, headphone users.
Watch Angus break the ZMorph live on Makers Muse.
Make 3D printed cringe. So I'm going to spin it back around again.
Okay, so another question is, so Tal Esh asks, what is the spindle's wattage? And number 2, the laser's power. And 3, estimated toll head's weighs. Did that make any sense?
Yeah, so okay. let me find out the wattage of the spindle. It's not going to be that high. Yeah, so for the spindle, I don't think it's brushless, it's just a brushed spindle, I think. And it has no wattage marking. Dion, would you be able to rustle that up and maybe post it in the chat, those specs? I'm not sure what the laser is either. It's probably a 4 watt, around 4, maybe 3, 4, 5 watts. But yeah, I'm sure Dion can rustle it up. Right, so this machine's probably preheated. I'm going to withdraw the filament and then load in some other filament because I want to try a different color.
Okay, so while you're taking a moment, I'll shoot you another question. Okay, so earlier on, Ro Wilmans asked, I have a laser attached to my Wanhao Di3. What is the power output?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the power output in this one is.
Okay, then we'll find out more later. Okay, so how about another one from a guy called Modern Tech? What are your thoughts on the Wanhao Duplicator R3 version 2 for a first-time 3D printer? I can't spend that much, but it seems like it's the best for my budget of $400 American dollars. So what's your opinion, Angus?
Yeah, for the Wanhao i3 version 2, I absolutely love mine to bits. So you can check my review out of it. I got the Cocoon Create, which was the one they sold at Aldi. So that was, like, actually Aldi in Australia sold a 3D printer, and it was the Wanhao i3 version 2. The version 2.1 has a few modifications to make it better, but honestly, it's a great machine for the price. You are going to suffer a bit of quality control issues, absolutely, because Wanhao is a fairly... I think they suffered from popularity and couldn't keep up with their quality control, so the quality control did drop for a little while, which is what we saw in the i3 Plus. But yeah, honestly, if you can't afford a genuine Prusa Mark II, and you're okay with manually leveling your bed and the beds aren't perfectly flat, yeah, it's not a bad machine at all. I like mine. I did make a few mods to it though. I put a Flexion extruder on it, which kind of makes it a little bit more expensive than than without it. Alright, so I've got some lovely pink eSun here, and I'm going to load this up and see how we go.
Okay, so I've got a lovely little small collection of questions here. So let's see. Okay, so Lucas asked earlier, some people had answered in the chat, but I also just wanted to get your opinion on this. So could I ask about how often should one level the printer's bed? What is considered normal? So this is a pretty basic question for you, so let's see what you have to say.
I can't answer while I'm away from the microphone.
God damn, I need to get you, oopsies, excuse me, sorry guys. Sometimes I forget, I'm on a PG channel. Yeah, we need to get you a mic, mate.
Yeah, I need a wireless one that doesn't suck. Yeah, just going back to that, what was the actual, oh yeah, bed leveling. I level my bed as little as possible. So if it's out of level and the print's not working, I will level it. And that's how often I level it. Some machines rarely need leveling, some machines need it every 5 seconds. Like, yeah, the Wanhao i3 version 2 is a good example of one that needs constant bed leveling. I think because the Z-axis limit switch is somewhat inaccurate, so it can change, at least in my experience. But yeah, you level it as often as you need to. Sorry, it's not the most logical, not the most, not the best answer, but that's what I do. Anyway, I am going to fire up the ZMorph software, which is called Voxelizer. And Voxelizer, and we'll just wait for the hard drives to spool up because this computer's about to die, because I filled it up with footage.
As you do.
Yep.
People love your pink filament, by the way.
I love pink.
You're the pink man.
Pink is an underrated colour. I'm totally with you, Heather. I love pink.
The pink mafia.
Okay, let's go to the desktop cam. All right. So this is Voxelizer. At least I hope it is. Hope you can see that. Yeah, you can. Excellent. And this is the software for the ZMorph printer, and it's completely different to any other slicer I have ever used, period. It's totally different, and I'll show you why. So let's go grab a file. So file, import, 3D model, let's just grab something basic, downloads. Let's just print a cube.
Oh no, hold on, mate. We don't want to break it now. Ooh.
Printing a cube?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll totally trash it.
Absolutely. So cool.
So this is Voxelizer, and how it works is you take an STL file and it converts it into voxels. And voxels are essentially 3D pixels. So you imagine a pixel is 1 by 1 by 1. 1 by 1. So a voxel is 1 by 1 by 1, so it has depth as well, or height, whatever you want to call it. So when you load files into Voxelizer, you need to voxelize them before you slice them. And this is good and bad. So this part, for example, went very easily. It's a cube, so it makes sense that it works out of stacked cubes. But if I grab something else that isn't as nice, I suppose, like perhaps, I might have just grabbed a very complicated file by accident. Whoops. Yep. Okay, there we go. So if you grab something that isn't completely geometric, like this Triceratops 3D scan from My Mini Factory, and then you voxelize it, add. What it's going to do is it's going to have to approximate it because it's using these 3D pixels, essentially. And you get this sort of effect. So I'm not completely convinced with this approach to slicing, because apparently the benefits is it speeds up G-code production, and also because the ZMorph needs to be sliced for CNC, laser, paste, 3D printing, they've gone with this approach, which would make sense for a coarser, I guess a coarser manufacturing process like the paste or the CNC. But for 3D printing, I would say you're going to induce artifacts using voxelizing, like you can see here. Yeah, but I don't know. I've never seen anyone do it, and it's interesting. I will say that. So let's just go back here. So scene editor, let's get rid of that one because I don't want to print a Triceratops skull right now. So I'm going to voxelize it again. Yep. How do I get rid of it? Oh, clear. There we go. Okay. So I've just got our cube. And we want to slice it on one of the presets. So it has all these crazy presets like, chocolate. I guess you could do chocolate through the paste extruder if you really wanted to. You could do sort of using the dual head, you can do dual color, or you could do a support material. So it's got all these presets. But I'm going to go with the 1.75 filament because that's what I've loaded. Fan preset, fan PLA, I suppose. Yes?
Dion already mentioned this, try click on clear scene if you haven't done that already.
Oh yeah, I've done it. All good. I figured it out. And then you've got advanced settings as well. So, Dion, if you're there, I would love to know if I can change temperatures here. Because that's the one thing I've noticed so far is I haven't found a way to change temperatures on my G-code. Only like after the print starts that I can modify the temperatures on the printer. So I've been using slicing to SD card, but I'm going to try tethering it this time. So let's make sure it's actually plugged in. That's a good start. Is it actually plugged in? Yes, it appears to be plugged in. Let's see.
By the way, just let me know when you want some
Connect.
questions hit your way.
Yep. You can always chuck across questions.
Okay then. So let's see. Samuel asked earlier, can you print flexible filament with the Kitty X1?
The Cheedy X1 has a Mark 10 style extruder. I would say you're very likely to get jams if you're printing flexibles unless they're semi-flex, or you print very slowly, or you modify the extruder to be fully supported. So it's the same with the Wanhao FlashForge Dreamer. FlashForge Dreamer or the Wanhao i3. Any of those with that style of extruder, you have a gap between the feeder gear and the extruder hot end, and that's likely to cause a jam. So I would say not stock without lots of difficulties. Right, so saying firmware update, I am not going to do that now. I am going to ignore that. And we've got voxel editor. So I'm just going to go through and just do, I guess, just Power Raft PLA, just default settings, I suppose. Let's see how we go there.
Well, Videos Scrape asked, can you create your own presets and set the temperature in there?
Can I create my own presets? That's a great question. I don't know. I can save a preset. So I can save a preset, but I don't know if I can change temperatures here. General...
Nasiek says temperature settings are in the G-code display section.
G-code display?
Yeah.
Okay. But I've already made my G-code. How can I set temperature if it's already in the G-code? I can see what you mean there. Like, I'm controlling the printer now directly from the computer. So I can start warming the extruder and the bed up. So I can warm the bed up to, let's go 60 degrees C. And let's make the heater go up to 230, I suppose. That's pretty hot. It is nice to have a graph, but I would like to be able to change my settings for temperature in the actual editor, the G-code settings, because I want to print with SD card normally. If you have a print going for 10, 20 hours, you don't want to be tethered. If this computer goes to sleep while it's printing, the print's going to fail. That's what I don't want.
Apparently they can't hear me anymore, but the mic is showing on, so...
Talk? It should show up there.
Meow.
Oh, sorry guys. I killed Lady Muse by changing the profile. Whoops. Sorry.
Am I back on again? Or?
You're back on now.
Woohoo!
But you're not going to be on while I'm using the software screen. So you just be quiet for a minute. Okay. So, while Lady Muse is contemplating things, I'm going to just send this to the printer, I suppose. So it's heating up, and the printer's loaded up. You see the temperature's pretty decent. So let's just print. All right, play. So we have different options. I am going to print via USB. What? Send to printer via USB? No, print via voxelizer. So I'm going to tether it. All right. If the camera's good enough, I'll put it here. If the camera's good enough, you might see the bed's got a bit of a matte surface on it. I've been using this stuff a little bit. So this is Magigoo. It's a Maltese company, and it's like a bed adhesion additive. It's like a glue stick, but it's a really thick, sort of purpose-made glue. And I just put that on the glass bed just to give it extra chance of success, I suppose, while I'm testing it. I've only done a few prints so far, but we'll see how it goes. Let's jump back into click A. It's telling it to home first. Well, is it going to fail if I haven't homed it? Do I have to kill it? Okay, well I managed to escape any collisions before homing it. Sorry about that. It was telling me to home it before, but I just completely ignored that. I didn't know what A meant. Seemed to work. Okay, I'll make sure I home it next time. I would have thought it would have homed before printing, but obviously not.
I am really doing a poor job today asking questions.
It looked like it was under extruding for a little bit, but it seems to be catching up. This is like its brim setting, so it's doing this before it starts printing.
Quick question!
You might have to turn your mic down slightly.
Oops.
No, talk, but just, yeah, I'll do it.
Oh, okay. So the Greater Gamer asks, do you still recommend the Wanhao Duplicator i3?
Yes, I just already answered that question 10 minutes ago.
Oh shit. Oh crap, oh sorry!
Lady Muse has somewhere to go in terms of acting on the internet during streams.
I swear like a sailor.
She does swear
really...
like a sailor.
In my defense, I'm not that well.
She's not very well. It's not a Bowden tube, it's just a feeder tube. It's fine. Yeah, no, I agree, Dion. It's a little bit weird asking to home manually without it just doing it itself. Most machines will generally home by themselves, at least in my experience. I don't mind swearing occasionally, but I do try to keep this channel fairly PG. It's not my intention to swear, but it's not like I'm going to be on YouTube Kids or anything. But I do acknowledge that we do have a younger audience, so it's fine.
Bye-bye G rating.
She'll learn.
You need a 5-second delay on her audio and a bleep button.
Yeah, I just need someone to just like muffle her every time she goes off the rails. Heather is like, I didn't think I could love you anymore. Clearly wrong.
The sailor swearing sisterhood.
Yep. Cool. So it's doing the raft now. A few observations. That's pretty quiet. It's not actually as loud as I thought. A lot of machines that I've used that have an enclosure like that get loud. Like the up box is such a nightmare if it's printing fast or doing certain movements because the plastic frame resonates. This, on the other hand, is ridiculously overkill. I mean, the design of the ZMorph is a triangle, so it's crazy stiff, and I do very much respect them for doing that. Although, no, the bed would clear it as the head goes up. Never mind, don't mind me. And I think the cost of production on this is probably quite high. Probably one of the highest machines I've tested, to be honest, because it's got the aluminium CNC and bent frame, and it's got the vacuum formed panels. There's no laser cut sort of shortcuts here. It's all pretty expensive.
Chivalwork says, I don't know how many 3D printing channels can still be G-rated given how many people seem to burn themselves at least once on a hot end.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Show the encoders. So I don't know where I can. Oh, there it is. Head position. I'm just trying to find. So basically, the ZMorph does have encoders on the steppers. So if they get pushed off path, they'll continue. What would be the best way to demonstrate that, Dion? Like, I don't want to wreck it. Is there somewhere on the software I can show it? I'll just go back to the screen there. Desktop. So you can see the head position has a live feedback there. You can see where it's moving there. You can see a little feed of the G code here as to what it's stepping through. What else we got? Yeah, I don't know. It does have encoders on all the steppers though. I just don't know how to show anything about it. Okay, alright. I will do that then. So apparently if I stop the head from moving, it will resume where it was. Let's try that, shall we? What did it do? No way, it recovered. I shifted it one step and it went back.
That didn't sound good.
That didn't work. It went back the first time, but not the second time. Maybe I need to enable them. Maybe. So I'm gonna have to stop that now because it doesn't know what's going on. So let's stop that. Let me have a look at the screen here. I told it to stop and it's not stopping. It's alright, it's all a learning experience. Okay, I'm going to home it in the corner and then scrape that plastic off, and I think maybe I need to turn it on. Is that home in the center? Why did it move to the center? Yeah, okay. Interesting. I'll get the scraper. Well, the parts stick nicely. That's a start. So they don't have any issues sticking to the bed. So I'm going to home it again. Breakers Muse.
I love Breakers Muse.
I was asked to do it. I didn't know if it would work or not. So I'm going to disconnect it from... Disconnect... I'm going to see if I can turn encoders on or something. Settings... Encoders... Says encoders are on. Can't really show that easily though. Unless I move this around. Maybe you guys can see. There you go. So that's the encoder screen. So everything's on. Yeah, maybe it's just for accidental movements. Or maybe ZMorph lied. Maybe just Angus breaks things beyond belief. So I'm going to go back to the software. And let's try that again. So I've got the head position there. Oh, I've got to connect it again. Alright, connected. Let's home it again. So I can extrude, I can retract. I can change to different rapid or different G-code movement settings. Yeah, look, I'm just going to do it again and not frig with it this time. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so it's more for accidental stopping of the movement rather than repositioning of the tool head. Got it. So I had to really force it out of position. Like, I think maybe they were either the steppers energized very, very powerfully, or it was resisting. I don't know. I've never seen encoders on a stepper printer. I've never seen encoders on a 3D printer so far. Anyway, you can answer questions now if you like. Well, I can answer questions.
I would love to answer your questions. So let's see. Luke Alford asked, I'm sitting here hoping my PLA baking in the oven is helping get rid of my moisture. Have you tried oven baking PLA before?
Go get your PLA out of the oven right now. That's a terrible idea. PLA softens at like 60 degrees Celsius. Your PLA is going to be all goopy and deformed. Don't bake it. Maybe put it in like, unless your oven's at like 40 or 30 degrees Celsius. Just put it in a bag with desiccants. I mean, this PLA I'm printing with right now is 2 years old. I've never had it in a box. It's just been out in the open. It's a little bit brittle, but it still works. Yeah. I would not put PLA in an oven. Yeah, I mean, baking PLA is different if you're doing the high temperature PLA from the various manufacturers that sell it now that makes it stronger. That's different. I wouldn't put a spool of PLA, regular PLA, in an oven at any day. Yeah, not normal PLA. Oh, juicy moose.
So Ryan Pierce asked, how good is the first Prusa printer?
The first Prusa printer? Well, it's fairly old now, so I don't know, it's probably okay. I mean, I've got the Prusa i3 Mark II printing right now behind us. So you can see that going there. So I'm going to review that soon. That's also my fantastic spool holder design, which has a pulley at the top to keep the weight of the spool off. Piggy gantry. But the original one, look, it's pretty outdated now. So, yeah, I wouldn't buy one now. I'd buy the i3 Mark II, unless you're getting it really cheap. Excuse me. Right, so ZMorph seems to be going okay now. I've stopped torturing it. I have a thing about torturing printers lately. I mean, I'm working on a torture test that's absolutely ridiculously insane.
Someone once referred you to the Saw of 3D printers.
The what?
The Saw. You know the horror movie? What does it say? I want to play a game.
This is one of the latest ones. So this is an all-in-one print, and each one rotates individually like that. I'm not completely happy with it yet, but I'm on the right track. So yes, oh yeah, that one breaks free because there's not enough tolerances. Yeah, I do like to torture printers these days. It is a little bit weird, very weird. Just don't break it. I will try not to break it, Dion, I promise. I will put the dual extruders on next because I'm really interested to see the dual color printing that the ZMorph can do. If you guys head over to their website and check that out, it's absolutely insane. They're putting bitmaps onto files and then it's printing dual color to match. You can do a photo. You can literally do a photo, and it looks awesome. So I'm going to try that next.
It took quite some time for Angus to master that model.
Did I cop some slack for selling your models from a fellow YouTuber? Yeah, when I sold the Lattice Cube, I did get a bit of feedback, positive and negative about it. Overall, very positive. A few people were a bit upset about it, but oh well, that's YouTube.
It's always optional and appreciated, but
what
never
I thought was really
required.
cool was that the people who didn't want to buy it and said, "Oh, I can model it," went out and modeled it, because I'm like, well, I ain't even mad, because I totally want to support and empower creativity. I made you 3D model something. I'm happy with that. So the whole process was really cool, and this next version I'm doing will be a little bit harder to model, and that's an understatement, but I am pretty keen to see how that one goes as well. Right, so it's still going. It's basically up to the point where I stuffed it up last time. I'm not gonna touch it again. Any more queued questions?
Let's select one from the list. So Stefan asked way earlier on, sorry. On my printer nozzle there's a slidable vent. What are the advantages of using a cooler or no cooler in general?
There is a what?
Yeah. I'm just pointing the question
Oh,
out.
okay, I get you. Yeah, okay, so what they're talking about is some machines, like the ups, have a vent that you can open and close. So it's a really clever way, a little bit hacky. So the fan's on all the time, and the fan has two purposes. It cools down the stepper and the extruder assembly, and also blows air onto the print. So that because I only have one fan, you can't turn it off, because then the extruder overheats. So you have a vent you can close, and you either have it open to have air go onto the print, or closed to have air redirect away from the print. And obviously the benefits of having air onto the print, if you're printing PLA, you get less stringing, the parts cool quicker, and it's very good. But obviously the downsides if you have a vent open for ABS is it's going to cool too fast and you get warping. So have it open when you're printing in PLA, and have it closed if you're printing in ABS. And if you're printing in PETG or something else, you might have to experiment. I personally would say you probably want it open, because PETG can string, and you might want to have it open so it doesn't get much stringing. That's what I'd say.
Okay, so next one is. Sorry guys, I'm fading a bit. Okay, here's a general one. Andrew asked, "Hey, Mr. Muse," I love it, Mr. Muse.
Mr. Muse.
Have you considered doing a video on just general printer maintenance? So examples: cleaning, proper lubricants for guardrails, filament, long-term storage, etc. I've known you've been planning doing a more, general 3D printer series for a while. So what are your thoughts on it now?
No, I'm definitely planning to do something along the lines of that. The issue is, I did one on bed leveling a little while ago, so nozzle height and bed leveling. Every single machine is different. So if I do a general one, it would have to be really general, because these machines have different quirks and parameters and need different maintenance sequences and maintenance approaches. So yeah, I could do one, definitely. I'm actually bringing out an ebook in a little while, which is going to be like full of tips, and that covers a lot of maintenance as well. But for a general one, yeah, it's definitely in the list. But again, it's in the list. And I'm always fighting to get through the list. It's making a clicking noise. I think that's just the motor moving back and forth. I'm going to double check. Oh no. The part is warping off the bed. And there it goes. So I think my nozzle height might have been a little bit too far away. Yep. So I'm going to have to start again on the print. The way the ZMorph homes itself to the bed is it has a little thumb screw that you have to adjust and then home and adjust and home, so it's a little bit tedious, and that's clearly not close enough, so I'm going to try again.
Hey Angus.
Yes.
Juicy Moose asks, "Can you fix my Georgie file? It has a big hole in it and I don't know how to fix it. It's completely hollow for some reason. I want to publish it soon." So Sal, you
maybe.
send it to us and we'll provide salvation?
Yes, perhaps. I can't make any promises. If it needs loads of fixing, I don't know if I can, but if it's a simple fix, I'll do it. So yeah, send it through. Right, so I've made turned the screw to make the bed home closer, and hopefully that's okay. Again, you can't really tell easily. I mean, I can get a card out and test that thickness, but I only have thick cards, that's the problem. You want something that's a bit thinner. Let's try that. That feels way too close now.
Is the bed heated right now, asks Talish.
Yeah, it's at 60 degrees C. It's pretty hot. It's actually painful to touch.
Another maintenance one. Adam asks, how often do you clean and maintenance on your machines?
Play. So it's really close now. I'm going to see if that fixes it. Once this is done, it's done. I haven't really done any prints on it properly yet, so... You're right?
Yeah, I don't feel like repeating that question.
No, just what was the question?
Well, the question, general maintenance one, was from Adam, asking how often do you clean, maintain, and lube your machines, etc.
So for the machines, it does vary. To be honest, not very often. Yeah, I mean, you'd really have to be flogging your machine to need to redo the rails and that sort of thing. If the machine, it's mostly if the machine comes like badly lubricated from the factory, that's bad. Like a lot of the cheap Chinese machines come with no grease on the rails, no oil, nothing. They're just completely dry. If the machine comes like that, absolutely hit it with some grease to make sure it's well lubricated before you print with it. But yeah, overall, not very often, to be completely honest. Most machines run for a very long time on the grease that you put on. Like probably, in my case, a year. Unless you're running them 24/7, then you might want to do it every few months. But for me, no, not that often. I use a thick grease with a PTFE. I think it's called. It's made by an Australian company called Nulon, and it's an automotive grease that has this very very slippery additive, and it's thick. It sticks to the bearings. Works well. And it's bright red. I would like some sort of purge routine for this nozzle head, because if it parks into the center of the bed and then starts printing, there's a little blob where the head was sort of sitting. So maybe I can do some sort of start G code to do that. Because like in the Prusa i3 Mark II, you have like a purge line. That would be nice. How much is too much oil on the rods? Too much oil is if it's dripping off. And again, I don't really recommend oil, because if oil drips onto your print surface, you're going to have a really bad time. If you have like a build tack surface, it absorbs into the print surface and then nothing's going to stick to it. You have to go in with solvents to get it off. I prefer some sort of grease or something like that that sticks into the bearings better. You really don't need to use oil. That's just my opinion. That's just what I do. Right, so for those guys who come late, this is the ZMorph. I haven't really printed it with it before, so I'm dialing it in at the moment. I'm just getting the bed level correct and trying to print from the computer tethered, and it's doing a cube. I've restarted it a few times. First time because I stuck my hand in it and tried to move the head and it didn't recover. Second time it did come off the bed because it wasn't close enough. But then once I get it right, it's going to be pretty good. I mean, the machine is so overbuilt. It's ridiculous. The bed's so huge and rigid. Yeah, and you can tell it's pretty good. I might adjust the camera slightly.
Dion says you're missing the fan.
Missing the fan. Check the clear toolbox for a fan. Ah, okay. Where does this go?
It says check the clear toolbox for a oh, okay, oh god, lordy.
Oh, this one. You know what? I'm gonna leave it off because if I add a fan for now, I don't care about it looking that bad because it warped off the bed before. So I want to make sure it actually sticks. I will add it to the next print though. Why didn't it come on the tool head? Oh well. This is all good feedback to ZMorph.
Want a ZMorph question?
Yep.
So James asks, can you have the ZMorph print completely solid infill so that you can then CNC machine the printed part without blowing through the hollows?
Yeah, I'm sure you could. I'm sure if you had... Yeah, you can change the infill ratio. I'm sure you could change the infill ratio to 100% or something like that if you really wanted to, but it's going to be a pretty awful long print and use a lot of plastic. Yeah, I guess you could also change the skin thickness. I'm just having a look here on their settings. Yeah, you could change the outline. You could change the outline from 3 to like 10, and then you have a thicker surface. That would probably work. Okay, I'm going to try adding the fan while it's printing. Hey. There we go. Everything's got magnets. It just clicks in. Right. Yeah, the echoes because I'm on a desktop condenser mic and Lady Muse has a headset. This is the best we could do. You don't hear her otherwise, unfortunately. I don't have 2 headsets or 2 condenser mics. Or yeah, yeah.
Am I echoing still?
Are you? Echo, echo, echo. I don't know. Bit of feedback. I have no idea what the feedback's coming from. I might just mute you for a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I have muted Lady Muse to see. You can put one on the back as well. Okay. Let's see if I can put one on the back. That's pretty cool. So you can just put the fans on either side. It's pretty neat. Echo is gone. Yeah, so just to fill you in who might have missed it, guys, we are leaving this studio quite shortly. As you could tell, we've started to pack stuff out from behind me because we're moving to a new one down the coast, and it's going to be awesome because we've got a dedicated space to set up as a studio. So none of this, like having to move stuff out of the way suddenly to do a stream. It's going to be set up dedicated for filming, streaming, music production, everything that I do. So we can just do awesome things like reliably and good quality and often, because that's the whole point of doing this. I want to do more streams. I want to do more live builds, that sort of thing, and bring more content. So yeah, it's going to be pretty good. Don't forget to remove the fans before removing the tool head. You will snap them. Okay, I'll remove the fans before I remove the tool head. Thanks, thanks for the warning. Is Makers Muse a company? Yes, I suppose it is. It's my job, but I'm still a sole trader at this stage. But soon it'll probably become a proper company. We'll see. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my mic. So this is my condenser mic. I'm trying to keep it at my face, like this, so it's directed.
Do you still want me to shoot you questions?
Yeah, I'll unmute you and you can ask questions.
Oh, okay. Am I live?
Yes, you're live.
All right. Okay, so Casey just asked then, going along with my previous question about adding glass to the print bed, I think this was answered in the chat, so well done, guys. Awesome. Does adjusting the build plate also affect the Z print size?
Yes, actually. That's a decent question. So going back to not just a glass plate, but any printer with a bed that's adjustable on springs, you're going to have a variable build height, because the closer the bed is, I guess the further down the bed is on those springs, the more height you get out of the printer. Excuse me. So on the Duplicator 6, that has an adjustable screw for the limit switch, for the micro switch, and if you make that as far down as you can, you gain maybe 10 millimeters or so. So yeah, it does vary actually, and the original Up Plus 2s got caught out because they used to say they could do 140 high, but actually most could only do 135. And you think, okay, that's not much of a difference. But if a customer is buying a machine to print objects 140 millimeters high, and they find out they can't, they're entitled to a refund. And that's fair enough. So yeah, it does actually vary depending on how your bed's leveled, which is interesting. When I messed up the print head, did it start auto-cleaning the nozzle? No, it just kept printing. it didn't do anything fancy. But now I've made the nozzle height a lot closer. It seems to be working pretty well, actually. Still warping up a little bit, perhaps, but maybe I just need to clean the glass. I'm not too convinced with their raft settings. The raft seems to be still, I guess, there's not substantial enough. There's not enough flow coming out of the nozzle. So maybe I'll just do raftless next time.
Want a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the 3B scale modeling asks, when printing ABS in an open frame machine, would a cardboard box work well to make an enclosure to keep the build area more heated?
Yes, absolutely. If you're printing with a machine with ABS and it's open to the ambient temperature, you're going to get warping if the temperature's too low. I used to put my machines in cardboard boxes in winter, and it legit helps. So yes, absolutely, put it in a box, or one of the more popular ones at the moment is you go to IKEA and you get 2 lac tables, stack them on top of each other, and then get some clear plastic or even like thin clear vinyl. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Put that around the machine on that second level, and it keeps the heat in. The only thing I will say is by keeping the heat in like this, you do risk overheating the electronics because they can't vent their temperature, they can't vent heat anymore, they can't cool down. So a good one is like with the Wanhao i3, because the control box is separate, I've seen people build an enclosure around the actual moving element itself and keep the control box outside that heated chamber. That's like an awesome approach. But yeah, just be careful of overheating, but yes, absolutely you can. And it makes a really big difference. Yes, the Kuka is a very expensive paperweight. Bit of backstory, we're at the University of New South Wales for a little bit longer. They put it in this room because they wanted somewhere cool to put it. Again, it's an exhibition space. And the guys here were meant to start doing cool things with it, but Kuka didn't supply, it's on loan from Kuka. They didn't supply any training with it, so it's just sat here. And we've gotten it to move in like a very basic manner. But yeah, it's a waste. And I can't touch it because it's not mine. It's just in the room. But I don't know, I mean, I might approach Kuka or another robot company because they have smaller research arms. And I would very much like to play with those once we move down to the gongs. So yeah, have a look. And yes, there is no window. I saw someone ask that. Unfortunately, it will be an undisclosed location because it's we can't have any interruptions anymore. That's what's been one of the biggest problems here.
Yeah, that's a interesting question from Nicholas to go to. Do you also believe that the future of single extruder printers are compromised?
Yeah, I know what you're alluding to, Nick. As better support materials are developed, people will start to have to move to dual extrusion systems to take advantage of that, much like the Stratasys systems that have dual extrusion for the support and the built material. And we're starting to see that now. Before, I mean, dual extrusion machines were pretty much a gimmick. Like you'd have to try to print with PVA and PLA, which was very difficult to get them to work properly. But yeah, I think in future now these new materials are developed, we're going to see a lot more dual extrusion machines. And now we've got better systems, like having 2 nozzles perfectly level with each other is just a terrible idea because they'll never really be perfectly level. But you look at the machines like the Robox that tilt out of the way. You look at machines like the BCN Sigma and to a degree the Ultimaker 3 that park them out of the way. And then machines like, the ZMorph or the new Prusa i3 Mark II with a multicolor additive out of one nozzle. They're really cool approaches, and I think we're going to see that more and more. But there's the price point to consider. Breakaway support is still cheap, and it's still easy to do. You don't need to know much about slicing, so there's still going to be a place for cheap single extruder machines. Absolutely.
Ross asks, can we get a better view of the 3D printing?
I can try. Let's have a look. Can't see on my screen. Let me just get another spool of film and put it on the box. Is that any better? Has a look on the screen. See that?
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, a little bit better. Yeah, it's better. There you go. It's currently sitting on some cardboard boxes. Yeah, Sparky. Any opinion on the Zesty Nimble Extruder? Yes. Look, I have to be honest with everyone. There has been an influx of very innovative 3D printing accessories on Kickstarter in the past year, but I don't believe there's enough market for them, sadly. And if the Zesty Nibble launched at the start of this year, it probably would have gotten funded. But because it's at the tail end of the year, and we had projects like the Bunker, we had countless 3D printer projects on Kickstarter, it's just, there's not enough desire for a custom product at the moment in the market, because if there was, it would have gotten funded. But I think we're just all overwhelmed with Kickstarter projects now. And even though it's a really cool idea, we're all just like, oh, it's another Kickstarter. So that's what happened. That raft is not sticking at all to that glass. I don't know why. I might stop this print and then maybe adjust it to be a little bit closer. Probably need more Magigoo. Yeah, I'll try more Magigoo. But it's fine. I might actually try it without a raft this time. I'll put Magigoo on and I'll print raftless. Yeah, that's not stuck down at all. Right, I'm going to make the nozzle a bit closer. And stick some more Magigoo on it. The only problem with this stuff is the longer you have it, the more goopy the tip becomes. It gets harder to get out. There we go. This one's pretty much had it. I've used it quite a lot on various machines. All right.
Lucas just asks, does it use 2 belts for each axis? Kind of weird.
Yes, it does. So the ZMorph uses 2 belts for each axis because it has a CNC tool head you can use. And the CNC needs a load of torque, way more than a print head does. So that way they have to have dual belts, and they're quite coarse belts as well, more coarse than you'd see in a normal printer. So it's overbuilt for a 3D printer because it's designed to do more than a 3D printer. So I've got my file, voxel editor. I'm going to do no raft, just a brim. And then G-code. There we go, that'll do much better. Okay, let's try that. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to set the bed to be even hotter. Let's go to 70. Print. Okay. Let's see how this one goes. It's all a learning experience, isn't it?
Okay, question?
Yeah.
Okay, so Brian Bishop asks, sorry if you've already answered, what is the price point on this? You are right, it looks very overbuilt.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact price off the top of my head, but it's around 4,000 Australian dollars for the standard kit and 6,000 Australian dollars for the full featured kit, I think. I don't know what the American prices would be, or the Euro prices. You have to go on their website to check. But keep in mind the full featured kit has like 5 extruders, so 5 tool heads. It's got the single extruder, dual extruder, CNC, and then laser and paste. So yeah, 5 tool heads. So it is pretty expensive. It is overbuilt. It comes in a massive box. This is not like a cheap machine by all means. It's probably the most expensive machine I've ever tested, actually, I would say.
Okay, so question from Shivel Wolf.
Yes.
Any opinions on the rearm for Ramp's Kickstarter? Have you had a chance to look at that?
I've seen that very briefly. Again, going back to the point about the nimble extruder. Personally, I'm over Kickstarter projects. There's been so many this year that I can't see them. I don't know. I just don't take them seriously anymore, and it's not really fair because the creators put a lot of effort into it. But again, I mean, you look at the smoothie boards and that sort of thing. It is a very cool idea, and a lot of people say once you move to beyond like an Arduino, you move to a 32-bit controller, you do see a lot of benefits. I just haven't had the urge to look into it further because what I use currently works. That's a pretty bad thing to say, but yeah, I guess we need a break of projects. If it's a great idea, they should do a pre-order on their own website. They don't need to use Kickstarter. If there's people who want to buy it, they will pre-order it. Then they can do a run of PCBs. Okay, so Dion's got the price. So in Australian, 6,340 for the full kit, including delivery and GST, and 4,390 for the basic kit. Yeah, so that's landed in Australia, so that's already here. So yeah, that's the price of the ZMorph in Australia.
Some people asked this earlier. Can you use Simplify 3D on the ZMorph?
I don't see why not. Simplify 3D makes pretty standard G-code. I don't know if the ZMorph's actually officially supported, but I don't see why it couldn't. And again, I don't see why you can't use Voxelizer on other printers because, just going back to their software, if I fire up the desktop again, you can go to, where is it? I remember seeing you can actually choose what printer outlay or size it is. No. Well, I've just frozen it. Yes, okay. Well, I did remember seeing somewhere that you could change what the printer volume was. Right. Why are you not doing anything? I'm going to kill the software and restart it. Vox. It's all live, folks. You can't make this stuff up. So I'm going to go import thing again. Maybe another question would be good to fill in this awkward gap.
Oh, sure. So Casey Van asks, what is your opinion on SolidWorks?
I love SolidWorks. SolidWorks is amazing. I spent 4 years learning it at university. I can model really fast in SolidWorks, way faster than anything else. It's just a shame it costs like $14,000 Australian for a single seat of SolidWorks Premium in Australia. That's the only reason I don't use it. If it was like $1,000, I would have actually bought it. But it's completely impossible to get legally if you're just an individual. It doesn't make any financial sense. And Lady Muse is dying. So that's what I think about SolidWorks, unfortunately. It's way too expensive. Right, so I'm going to do this now. So I'm going to send a cube with a brim like that. So let's see if that works. Again, once I actually get it printing reliably, I can do more complicated things, but at this stage, I'm still figuring it out. It's one of those things, it's a very complicated machine. I mean, I would not be surprised if ZMorph has full training packages that they offer. Alright, it wants me to home all axes as well. I thought I homed all axes before. Okay, let's home all axes again. Okay. When in doubt, reset. Okay. Yeah, the software's crashed again. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to try that again. Printer connect. Yep. Home. I have no idea what's going on right now. I have to bear with me while I figure out what's going on with ZMorph because it stopped communicating. It's on the startup screen. What if I just connect the USB, maybe? Any more questions while I awkwardly try to figure out what's going on?
Sure. So here's one food for thought. Any thoughts or comments on the 3D printing movement in Australia?
Yeah. So for 3D printing in Australia, we had a massive hype, obviously. It did mirror the American bubble of, MakerBot having pop-up stores in New York and all that sort of thing. It's definitely died down. The hype is gone, but that doesn't mean the community is gone. 3D printing in Australia is still extremely strong. We have a lot of people doing many awesome things. Universities have completely embraced it. Schools have embraced it. Most schools have 3D printers now. Libraries do as well. Some libraries have 3D printers. It's just at the moment, a lot of these places have bought printers early on, and now they either didn't work properly from the start, or they're now falling apart. And a lot of these places are sort of disillusioned now, and they don't realize that there's machines out there that work really well, and they're still quite cheap because they think it hasn't really changed. So I think in Australia, there's a lot of re-education that needs to happen around 3D printing, because the hype made people expect the world, they realized they couldn't get the world, and they left all sort of salty about 3D printing in general. But now I think we want to see a resurgence of interest in 3D printing actually in ways that it's capable of fulfilling. So like I use it for prototyping, like people in university use it for their robotics projects, like it's being used for arts reasons. I want to see more re-education in that. Right, okay, the ZMorph's back. I'm going to plug it back in, and we should be okay. It just needed a little bit of thinking time, like all of us. Okay, plug it in, and should be alive now. Okay, connect. Are you connected? I think it's connected. Sorry if this is tedious. I do apologize. I'm just trying to get it actually functioning. Yeah, it sort of freezes up, then doesn't. I can't figure out why. It says it's connected. There we go. Alright, I just needed some thinking time. Okay, so it's moving now. Cool, okay. And it's gonna heat up again. Okay, yep. Go away. Generate G-code. Sorry, I'll go back to the screen. There you go. Advanced. So infill, I'm gonna make it 10. Print quickly. Generate G-code. Actually, I don't want the raft. I want a brim. Yes, that's what I want. Okay. Right. Well, it warms up quickly at least. Print. Well, it homed itself then. Why didn't it home itself before? Okay, it looks like it's working. Okay, there you go. Right, I can answer questions now. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I Am Pirate asks, when do you think that 3D printing will be affordable for home use? I think you also should elaborate that more on also when will 3D printers also be applicable for home use?
Yeah, I did write a thesis on 3D printing in the domestic environment when I was at university. I don't believe there is truly a home use for 3D printers, at least for the next 10 to 20 years. And there's a reason for that. You're not going to buy a 3D printer to print out knickknacks at home unless you're really a technophile and you like having gadgets, because even if a 3D printer costs $50, it's not going to be cost effective to just print out random things you can buy at the store. But 3D printers themselves are hugely applicable to very niche items, and the issue is you have to create those niche items. If you need a headphones holder for your new desk because you are a massive gamer and you have a really expensive pair of Sennheiser headphones and you want them to sit perfectly on your desk, then you want to 3D model it and print it so it suits your desk in the same color. But you need to have that extra step. You need to have that 3D modeling step then to use a 3D printer. In terms of the printers themselves, they're becoming extremely cheap. There is really no excuse to say they're too expensive now. I would say if you can save up for a game console, I mean, 3D printers are a fraction of that price now. You're looking at the monoprice, the Maker Select Mini, which is the Malian M200. That's $200 US. You're looking at machines now like the whatever it's called, the Cetus, which is again that's $300. And then you're looking at machines even cheaper than that, like the 101 Hero, which was $75. So yeah, I mean, if you have a need for a machine, then the cost isn't that bad. But if you don't have a legit need and drive to 3D model and create, then I honestly think having a 3D printer is a waste of money. in my personal opinion. I know a lot of people like the idea of a printer to print stuff with the internet, but personally I need to have that drive to create things to then print. That's how I view it. Yes. Sorry. Rant.
Okay.
Rant.
Okay, just picking from my list. Okay, so Juicy Moose asked earlier, got a webcam under $20 I can get. My time lapses need a good upgrade. I think he's struggling a bit.
Yeah, I mean, my time lapses still suck. So what you're seeing filming the printer now, that's a Turnigy action cam, the 2K black. So that's from Hobby King. Just by the way, the Hobby King website completely sucks at the moment. Don't even bother trying to order anything. You can't navigate by warehouse or anything. It's really a shame. I don't know what happened, but their website just updated and went just hell in a handbasket. But I did buy it from Hobby King, so if you can find it there. But it wasn't cheap. It was still fairly expensive, at least $100. And the quality is not as good as a GoPro. Yeah, look, honestly, I will say time lapses are not necessary for a 3D printing channel. I see them being used as filler a lot. I wouldn't worry too much about it, Juicy. I'd just take some footage of a print while it's printing, and then show them the finished product as well as you can. That's what I'd like to see. I don't personally watch videos of just a time lapse because I find it boring and I find it kind of not that engaging anymore. It's not that you can't wow people with time lapses anymore unless it's something really unique. Like the lattice structure looks cool as it grows in a time lapse. That's why I did that. But otherwise, I don't usually bother. I see time lapses as just kind of filler. Yeah, Hobby King's wrecked. It's so broken at the moment. No, I don't have a second version of the Fabricator Mini. The Fabricator Mini 2 is supposedly out soon, but again, Hobby King's reeling in this whole mess they've created on their website, so I haven't heard anything since then. I know that Preston at Press Reset did check it out while he was at the normal Maker Fair at New York, but I haven't seen anything since then. I think that was like the only one they had. How am I using the Turnigy cam as a webcam? I can't get it to work on my Mac. Unfortunately, it might be because of the Mac, but I basically plug it in. It asks me if I want to use it as a storage device or a webcam. I select webcam, and it shows up in OBS. That's all I do, and it works without installing any drivers. So, yeah, if it's the same model, I would say it's a Mac issue, unfortunately. And being a Chinese webcam, you're very unlikely to find the right drivers. That's just... Yeah, I would get like a cheap Windows tablet if you want to use it for that sort of thing. That's what I generally recommend. Isn't the new Fabricator the Malian M100? Yes, I believe it is. Again, I haven't seen too much about it, but that's what people are saying. Chuck Hellebuck, yeah, Chuck also checked it out. I'm not going to demonstrate the CNC today because it needs the bed to be changed. So again, I'll show. Well, somewhere in here. Don't want to mess up the tool heads. The ZMorph comes with a wooden bed as well, because you obviously can't CNC on glass. That's a terrible idea. So it comes with a sacrificial wooden bed you can replace, and then you can CNC. So the thing about multi-tool head printers or multi-tool head machines is there's a lot of setup involved in changing over tool heads. That's why I've never truly believed in an all-in-one device. I've always preferred a machine that does one thing well. So although it's capable of being set up in that format, I would say when people buy these machines, they probably stick to a single tool head for most of the time, and then only when they need to do something special would change it, because it takes a while. It's like those combined lathe and mill, like multi-machines. They kind of mash a milling machine and lathe together, but to set it up to do either operation takes a while. I would personally prefer a lathe and a mill as separate machines. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't CNC in the glass. That's a shocking idea. Any food extrusion coming on the channel? Well, the paste extruder is included with the ZMorph, but again, as I said at the start of the stream, I'm not going to put chocolate in it because I'm not going to heat anything coming out of this. But yeah, once we move, we are looking at doing maybe some more food things. I do like food printing and food in general.
Who doesn't?
You have any questions?
Yes. So Brian Weber asked earlier, are you going to try the lattice cube on this printer at some point?
Yes, I'm absolutely going to try my lattice cube on this printer at some stage. Some people are saying YouTube's glitching. Unfortunately, I'm on the Wi-Fi here, and it's normally very good, but at the moment it's just saying bad, 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 bad. Because, I mean, all the students are probably just watching YouTube as well. So, sorry about that if it does glitch. But yeah, I'm going to try my torture tests on there at some stage. I'm not sure how well it's going to go. Could be good, actually. It's a very stable machine. I'll find out. I'll get to the bottom of it. Yeah, the Pocket 3D is pretty adorable. If you guys haven't seen that, it's a 3D printer that's like that big. It's so small. I wish, yeah. Again, if that came out before the 101 Hero, I probably would have backed it. But again, going back to the whole glut of Kickstarter projects, I've already backed the 101 Hero, and I'm not going to back another printer regardless of how good it looks. And that's just the problem at the moment. There's lots of projects coming out, and I think there's too many, which means that even a good project will get overlooked and probably not funded. Nick's saying, out of the 400 filament companies and 300 3D printer companies, how many will survive in the next 10 years? I think we're going to move the decimal point, possibly, left by 1 click. That's probably how many are going to be left. But then, again, more will spring up. So there's so many people in the 3D printing market at the moment making filament printers. And like we're seeing clones of clones in China. Like the Malian M150 is a clone of the Wanhao duplicated i3, which is a clone of the Prusa i3. Like it's getting crazy. And I don't believe the market's sustainable. I really don't. So I'm really interested to see how it goes. And clearly you are too, because I know you're very in contact with all the manufacturers. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Especially because everyone's moved on past the hype, so now people are drones. But again, drones are doing the same things 3D printing did. There's all these companies popping up with foldable drones and racing drones and like super easy to fly drones. Like it's going to just, again, the same thing's going to happen. People are going to realize that actually, wow, these are still pretty expensive. Wow, I crashed them once and they break. I can't fly them most places without getting in trouble. And actually, wow, I got some lovely footage of a pond, and that's totally justified the $1,500 I've spent on this drone. You're going to probably see the same thing, I'd say. Yeah. So the ZMorph is, yes, so going back to what Dion's saying, it does have 2 modes, quiet and loud, like the Prusa i3 Mark II. And that's just how the steppers are powered. The quiet mode would have less torque, and the loud mode obviously has more torque. But yeah, it's actually pretty quiet. I think it's actually on loud mode at the moment, and it's still pretty quiet. And the Prusa i3 is printing behind me, and that's also on loud mode, and they're both decent machines. They're both not too bad. Yeah. Any more questions queued?
Lots.
If you like. Okay, I'm going to go through the questions. Lady Muse has many questions.
Okay, so on the current demonstration, Sim Paradox asks, do you think Angus will demonstrate either the laser engraver or CNC today? And also to follow that one up, Video Scrap then asks, does a CNC on a 3D printer make sense? Think of the mess you have to clean up when you want to go back to 3D printing.
Yeah, so I said before that I'm not going to demonstrate the CNC today because you need to change the bed. But yeah, it is a very good point. A CNC makes mess. It makes swath or swarf, which is all the offcuts. So you would have to change the machine and very much clean it between each process, which goes back to what I was saying before about having a machine that does multiple things. You need to be very mindful that it does take time to change between your tools. And if it's the one machine doing it, you need to keep that in mind. You can't just go print something, then swap the head, and then engrave it. It's not that easy. You got to change things. But yeah, I'm not going to test the CNC today, but I will test it soon. Next question.
Okay. Let's see. So Drew Bransby asks, Angus, what do you suggest for someone that wants to change acceleration on a Wanhao duplicator i3 Plus and who uses Cura for a slicer?
So it depends if you're talking about... If you want to change accelerations, you might have to do that through the firmware. It depends on the printer. I would say, I mean, what are you trying to achieve? Is the machine too slow, or are you getting jittering and artifacting because the accelerations are too high, or are you getting like rounded edges because the accelerations are too low? Either way, you either change your speed in your slicer, which will obviously change your print speed, but if your accelerations are too high or too low, that's a firmware thing, and you'll need to change that there. I did try to change my firmware once, and I didn't get very far. Someone in the chat might be able to help on updating the Wanhao firmware. Each machine's different. Am I printing pink for myself or Heather? I'm printing pink for myself. Yep. Heather can get her own pink. Just going back to the drones thing, someone said racing drones are fun, and absolutely. So there's a clear distinction between fun and, I guess, practicality. So I like to build combat robots because I like to build machines that smash each other to pieces because it's fantastic and tons of fun, and I find it a challenge. I do that for fun. I would not do that for any other reason than fun, and I throw money at that, and a massive amount, much to the distaste of everyone around me. But absolutely, if you enjoy racing drones, then by all means do it. It's fantastic. I'm more talking about people buying them as like a gimmick, like I'm going to do it and fly around and stuff, because people buy into the hype and they don't actually realize that when they get down to it, it doesn't really grab them. That's what I'm more cynical against.
Okay, so this next question was from a while ago from another Casey. Angus, do you know of any reviews for the T-Rex version 2 that might be pending? Because some people were talking about that before.
No. I have no reviews penned for the T-Rex, and I am currently up to my quota for the year. So, yes. Sorry. There's so many, again, going back, there's so many machines, I can't cover them all. I don't build so many robots anymore, but if you go to, I think it's Robo Wars Australia on YouTube, that's my old channel. And that's where all my sort of combat robot tutorials and video footage is. So that's what I was doing before 3D printing on YouTube. I was doing robots. And I will go back to it. Absolutely will.
Aren't you planning to
Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yay!
Say hi to Linus for me. Is that where he is? Linus Tech Tips? I'm pretty sure that's where they are. Anyway, continue.
Angus is a mad fan of them.
I am such a fangirl.
Such a huge nerd for them.
Such a fangirl of them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, on that robots, aren't you looking into participating in BattleBots next year, possibly?
I can't answer that question.
Fine.
I cannot answer that question. Continue.
All right. Man of mystery.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Mitchell asked earlier, what are your thoughts on Tico now that they have started printing?
Tico, started shipping?
Yes, yeah. I think.
I haven't kept up from their last bungle. Last I saw, Tico shipped 100 printers and they all sucked, and they got sent back, or they went back to the drawing board, so I haven't kept up to date with them, but if they're shipping now, then I'm looking forward to the reviews, because I would like to see how they print. So if you have a Tico on the way, by all means, I'd love to see you make a review and tell me what you think about it, because it was a cheap machine, and it's been a long time overdue. Yeah, I could tell you, but I have to kill you with my BattleBot. Yes?
Okay, so next one is Video Scrap asks, any suggestions on where to start if we want to combine 3D printing with learning about robotics?
Oh, absolutely. So again, going back to combat robots. Combat robots are not true robots. They're not autonomous, but they will teach you how to build a teleoperated robot, which is essentially remote controlled. And you think, okay, that's cheating. Well, you need to take into account drive systems, battery systems, battle hardening as well, and also various mechanical systems for the weapons that you might have. That's why I found it as a challenge, because I personally believe that getting an Arduino and a motor shield and making a little robot that bumps around in the room, that's great, but where do you go from there? Whereas for me, combat robots, you actually have to put it to the test in the ring. And if your robot's not good enough, it's going to get trashed. And that forces you to go back to the drawing board and redesign it and make it better. That's why I found it a good challenge. So if you're looking to get into 3D printing for robots, definitely practice with mechanical systems. So electromechanical systems first, and then look at incorporating them into something. Because everyone can make just a bump and drive platform these days. It's really quite easy, but not many people can do really nice, elegant, I suppose, electromechanical approaches. So like a robot arm with a gripper, that's a fantastic use of 3D printing in robotics, and it's very cheap to do now with various servos and that sort of thing. So that would be my recommendation. I like to do trial by fire, but maybe I'm just a masochist in that regard.
Trial by fire with fire.
I have had my robots catch fire. I have seen them explode. Yeah, they've hit the roof. Yes, that's what I like to do. Yes, yeah, they're armored remote control cars that can withstand 500 Gs of force. It's a different mindset. It's like saying how the Mars rovers, they're essentially just teleoperated robots, really, but that kind of discounts how amazingly advanced they are. Is it going to be Makers Muse t-shirts? Well, you can already buy them at the moment, actually. If you go into I think the video description takes you to the Redbubble page. You can get t-shirts. You don't have to, but they're up there already. And they're now digging up the ground outside. Lovely. Questions?
Yeah. When am I going to get my Makers Muse t-shirt? That's from me.
I'll order one. I was going to sass you, but I won't.
Thank you.
Don't cover your size.
Okay, so
The cube's going good, by the way.
thanks,
It's
Aaron.
working.
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron is helping me sort out the whole to highlight people's names thing.
Oh,
I need lots of help.
you need lots of help.
today. Sam Paradox said, "Build a robot land shark with frickin' lasers."
Robot land shark. One of these people has seen Geo Fish Attack.
Oh my lord.
That's a good movie. Thanks, Jaden. I appreciate it. I got broken. I don't know. I don't usually stream beyond an hour. I don't know what to do now. I'm just sort of rambling. 3D Creations Lab is saying, would I recommend running a 3D printer at night unattended? That's a hard one. It's becoming more and more obvious now that various printer manufacturers have removed safeguards from their machines when things go wrong, and I would hate to say yes, go ahead, and then in a week's time we see the news that someone's house is burnt down because of a 3D printer. So yes, a print can take 26 hours plus. You can't be watching it the whole time. You have to sleep at some point, but absolutely have a fire alarm above it, like a smoke alarm, something in the room. Make sure there's no, like, simple things for fire prevention. Make sure it's on a surface that can't catch fire. Make sure there's no paper around it, and make sure there's a smoke alarm right above it. So if something goes wrong, you can hear it and you can deal with it. Because fires become an issue when they build without the family knowing, they're all asleep, the room's engulfed, and before they know it, they can't escape. That's the risk. Sorry to be all doom and gloom, but it's become more and more obvious that some printers can catch fire. And yeah, absolutely smoke alarm is 100% necessary in your print room.
Okay, so I'm a pirate. Just asked then, follow up his question from eons ago. Does Angus have a tip for a free open source 3D modeling program?
Yeah, not open source. So with 3D modeling programs, just a few things. I used to recommend Onshape in the past because Onshape is like a bit like a cloud-based SolidWorks. And it still is, it's still very good, but they made a new change this month which really frustrates me, and it's kind of short-sighted for them. So if you want to use Onshape, they used to have a free plan with 10 private documents as a limit and then as many public documents as you like. And public means anyone can search for them and find them. Which is fine if you're designing something you don't care about, but sometimes you want to keep it secret, like with me, my torture test. I don't want to share that yet, so that's secret. But the problem is they've now rolled back, so for the free plan you can't have any private documents. They all have to be public. Which is okay, because I thought, okay, fair enough, they need to make money. But the problem is the next tier is $100 US a month to get private documents. So Onshape is dead to me now. Because of that, they have not considered that some people want some degree of privacy. They've just removed it completely. And because of that, I recommend Fusion 360 these days, which is very buggy, to be honest, but it's pretty decent, it's powerful enough, and it's free if you're a student or a startup like we are. And I'm going to be doing more tutorials in Fusion 360 from now on. But if you want a free, that's completely open source program, Blender is the only one I can think of. The problem is Blender is very difficult to learn. It's a very unusual approach. It's good for organic modeling, but I wouldn't say it's good for engineering design. You really want something like Fusion. But yeah, that's what I'd say. Yeah, everyone's saying Blender in the chat. Blender's the only open source one. But I would say if you want to do engineering stuff, Fusion 360 is what you should look at.
Aaron York says, current private documents will stay private until you try to edit them.
Yeah. So I think you have for another 2 weeks before they lock them completely, and then they just become like viewable private documents. They can shove it. I have no trust in that company anymore. They were trying to sell me a premium license. I'm like, dude, like you're getting clients because I make videos about your products. Now Fusion 360 is going to get clients. OpenSCAD is also free. Yeah, OpenSCAD, I can't wrap my head around OpenSCAD, I'll be completely honest. I'm not a coder, but if you are from a coding background, you might like OpenSCAD as well. So thanks for that, Aaron, I do appreciate that input. Google blaze cut and halo and fire extinguishers. I will definitely check that out.
Good. So another question is from, I think you pronounce it Guion. Intricate 3D printing. SLA is obviously superior, but what's the most intricate FDM print you've ever seen?
Intricate's very subjective. I mean, are you talking about lots of interconnecting rods and things? If that's the case, then yeah, FDM does struggle. I would say the torture test I did is probably one of the more intricate ones I've ever seen, because no one had ever really tried that degree of like overhang before. But I mean, you can see figurines where people do like 50 micron layer heights. They look really intricate and detailed, but it's not so much small details like out the sides. But for SLS, then yeah, you can do incredible things. I'll grab an example. You can entertain them for a second.
Oh dear. Really leaving me in the deep end here.
Here we go. Yeah, so best of luck doing this on FDM, basically. So this is SLS in nylon 12, and yeah, it's chainmail. And there's no way FDM would manage this. You can do chain on FDM, but not this detailed. No way. And this was printed by 3D Print AU, which they're based in New Zealand. So they sent me some samples. It's really cool. Really, really cool. And it's not that expensive. Moving Benchy in a lattice cube. Yeah, the Benchy and lattice cube was pretty fun. I didn't expect that to actually work.
Let's have a look.
Anything else? Oh, that's right. I have seen the watch mechanism. Yeah, I remember seeing that. The tourbillon, I can't pronounce it. That was printed as well. That was pretty cool. That'd be the most intricate thing I've seen. Yeah, good point. Any more questions? My cube's almost done.
Let's have a look. Someone asked earlier, is it okay to print PLA in an enclosed area?
Maybe. If you're printing PLA, the debate's out whether it's bad for you or not. This comes up again every few years. Oh, 3D printers are killing us. I'm printing PLA in an enclosed area right now. I can't even smell this one. It's pretty small. Some PLAs have a more stronger, sweet smell. I don't know. The verdict's out. I don't want to be the one telling you can and then everyone gets cancer in 10 years, but I do it. I want to make sure you have at least some ventilation, like a window. This room is air conditioned, so the air is circulating, albeit pretty slowly. But I would not recommend printing any other plastics in an enclosed area. Don't print ABS. Don't print polycarbonate in an enclosed area, for God's sake. Nylon as well, probably. Most of these other plastics, especially the petrochemical ones, are pretty toxic. So, yeah. I always recommend printing elsewhere to where you work. So our new location will have printers in a different place, because I don't really like working next to a printer that's running all day, just in case there is something wrong with being near the fumes. That's my completely uneducated explanation of it. Also, I suppose you can also argue people work in injection molding factories, and they're processing a heck of a lot more molten plastic every single day, and you don't really hear about, injection molders taking up court case against large company because of health problems. You haven't really heard that. So, yeah, I don't know. We're not burning it, we're melting it. That's the main difference.
Okay.
Anything else?
Someone made a comment along that discussion that from Arwen said SLS printers are 10 times more expensive than the more expensive FDM printers, so they feel it's an unfair comparison.
It's okay. The way I view 3D printing is as a tool. So yes, it's not fair to compare this to an FDM part, but what it is fair to compare is the cost of getting this made. So I would never own an SLS, but I would use SLS as a service. So if you go to a company like Shapeways or these guys, which are 3D Print AU, and you send them a file, this probably costs you about $50. Now, I mean, SLS is getting a lot cheaper because they batch them together. You're not going to get it as fast as if you owned a machine yourself, but within a week, you're going to get an SLS part. And if you're looking for that ultra-fine detail, think about it. If you're trying to print that on FDM, you're going to get failures. You're going to have to clean it up. It's going to be very delicate. So, although yes, you'd never own an SLS because they're way too expensive, the actual cost of getting something printed isn't too uneconomical. That's what I'd argue against that. I'd never own an SLS. I mean, they're so messy and horrible. But I get lots of prints done because it's strong, accurate, and yeah, works well. Having a little chat in the chat.
All the time. Okay, so next question is, let's see here, which one? Okay, so Nicholas asks, is the coming of dry boxes from 3D printing companies or from 3D printers company will welcome back the PVA?
Yeah.
If you make that sense.
So a lot of companies are bringing out dry boxes now or drying things. They're essentially repurposed like fruit drying containers, I guess. I don't know. I think PVA's had its day. Honestly, there's other materials coming out that are better than that. Absorb less moisture and print better. Plus, you can't use PVA with anything other than PLA, really. The temperatures have to line up pretty closely, and PVA has a low melting point. But I do think that those boxes will help a lot with nylons and polycarbonates, because those do absorb moisture as well, quite quickly. But yeah, I mean, again, going back to the dual extrusion, we need to see more and better dual extrusion support materials. I'll catch you later, Sparky. Cool. Well, our cube's done. Let me pull it around. So, pause the camera.
So basically, there's someone requesting if you could open up a discussion on PVA or soluble materials, like a video about the topic perhaps, especially with the Ultimaker 3 out now too.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't had a dual extrusion printer till the ZMorph, so I will be doing some experiments with this, and then once I do that, I can start doing more informed comments on it. But till then, I only have experience using like a FlashForge Dreamer, which is one of the very early dual extrusion machines where the heads are lined up. They're not very good for actual dual extrusion. I used to remove one of the print nozzles just so I didn't get it rubbing on the print. But yeah, we'll probably comment on it later. So it took a few attempts to get this machine dialed in, but now the bed level's good, and it printed a cube. Yes, it's just a cube, but now I know it can print. I can send bigger files to it, and I will be doing that because I'm reviewing the ZMorph. This is sort of my first taste of it, and then I will do more stuff on it. And they're just ripping up. I mean,
yeah, I think
have a look at that. I mean, they're just yay.
I think we might have to close it up soon because it's only going to get worse at this point.
They're ripping up the concrete again. Cool, guys. So I might have to call it there. Massive thanks for you joining in, and I think we've been doing this for 2 hours, which is awesome. I haven't done a long stream for a long time. And again, just to fill you all in, we are leaving the studio and going to our new studio down in Wollongong. It's going to be a bit of a hectic changeover. Then we're going to Perth for 2 weeks over Christmas. But I just wanted to stop and say thank you to everyone for supporting the channel, either by watching my content, watching our content, subscribing, and also all of my Patreons. A huge thank you to you guys, because I could not do this without your support. I really couldn't. And I do really appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, look forward to more videos on Makers Muse. I've got this dual extrusion one coming up soon for this sort of thing. So how to use pause and filament change commands in your G-code to change filament at precise heights. That one's going to be in this one as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, and I look forward to seeing you again very shortly here on Makers Muse. Thank you so much for watching, guys. You want to say anything?
Yeah, no, thanks everyone for tuning in and paying attention to us for like 2 hours straight. We really appreciate it, and thanks for bearing with me.
Yeah. Poor sick lady Muse. Okay, I'll catch you later, guys. Bye-bye.